So many words have been written in the form of a rhyme or a song for couples on their wedding day. There's so many to choose from. But this is a day that calls for a thing that's a little bit something apart. A poem that's written just for this day with Tracey and Dave at its heart. So what should I say about Tracey and Dave? Should I start at the very start? Should I tell you about their childhood when they lived one shire apart? Should I tell you about their families and how lovingly cared for they were by Brian and Betty in Stirling and Dave and Dan near Dunkeld? I maybe should throw in some detail about when they were each growing up, like Dave was a member of the Madness fan club and Tracey liked dressing her pup. And I'm wondering if it would be the thing to tell of their travelling phases, like Dave going off on HMS York when he was in Her Majesty's Navy. And Tracey's trips would be worth adding too, like her time in Australia for one, and then there was work in Mallorca, taking care of young kids in the sun. Speaking of work, should I add their careers? Would it be good if I did? Should I talk about Tracey, the best nursery nurse, and Dave, the computer whiz kid? And then there's sport, should I mention that? As it's something they're both interested in. I should probably say that Dave's done a tap and Tracey's run a marathon in Berlin. You know, all of these things that are part of their lives are interesting and worth hearing about. But I think I'll leave that to Darryl and Brian, who'll tell you lots more later, no doubt. Instead of the detail, the nit and the grit, I think I'll keep it simple instead, and just share the story of how this pair came to be here today to be wed. They first met in Stirling 2 short years ago and went off for a coffee in Blether. They visited the castle, had a wander around, and felt completely at ease with each other. They both had a hunch from that very first date that this might just be the one. And soon they were doing much more as a couple, with the emphasis always on fun. It wasn't too long till the time seemed just right to get to know each other's folks. They've spent many an hour round the family table, chatting and sharing bad jokes. And soon they were getting involved in doing things they wouldn't normally do, just to support one another and spend time together too. For Tracey, that meant things like standing in rain, cheering for Dave on his bike. And for Dave, that meant taking up running, something he's now grown to like. It wasn't too long before Dave moved to Stirling and settled in Tracey's flat. And they've been so happy there ever since, just the two of them and Meg, the cat. And all the while their families and friends could see, it was oh so clear, that Tracey and Dave had found their soulmate, the one they'd forever hold dear. So, on their first anniversary, not a day more or one less, they returned to the castle and Dave proposed, and Tracey, of course, said yes. Our little princess had found her prince, and neither need look any further. Tracey and Dave are just meant to be. They are simply made for each other. And now here we are, the big day's arrived, and it's such an incredible privilege to be here along with all of you to witness this beautiful marriage. It won't be long now until Tracey and Dave are Mr. and Mrs. Miller, and the next chapter of this true love story will be written in their future together.